you guys? Welcome back to the Dre Files featuring yours truly, Andre. Now, are we delirious today? Yes. Are we running off of no sleep? Yes. But what are we gonna do? We're still gonna step up to the plate and we're still gonna record, okay? Before we start today's video, you already know we gotta do a quick promo. And you know, I got a small business where I make graphic tees and whatnot. So you might as well go copy some because what? 420 is next month. And I got a lot of 420 type designs in my collection, like this one here called Trip Out. You can go get yours at ariandrellc.com. That's ariandre.com. And you can get all your smoker 420 related shirts and tees over there. Also, I got a discount code. I haven't been mentioning it. I got a discount code. Put Ari Andre TV for 20% off in the chat. Like, Ari Andre TV is my YouTube channel name. And if you put that in there, that lets me know that you're coming from my YouTube and ordering stuff from my website. And you get 20% off. And I think free shipping. Like, what? Come on. What are we doing? What are we missing out on? Like, I'm basically giving you a steal. Go copy some at ariandre.com. That's ariandre.com. Anyways, let's get into today's video. Yes, for starters, I know y'all see the Bantu knots, baby, okay? I know you see it, like the curls. I'm loving the curls popping out, okay? And like, I just love it. I just love it. I didn't like it at first because before I added hair to my hair, these Bantus was looking a little boneless. They was giving boneless Bantu. And I didn't like that. So I added a little bit of hair, put a little curly whirl in it, wrapped that thing around, and now here we are. Like, is it giving Pinterest board? Like, should I post this on Pinterest? Anyways, something that I've been watching on the Netter of Flicks recently is this show called Age of Attraction. I don't know if you know it, but it's basically where all of these single people who have had trouble in the past with relationships come to this little place and they mix and mingle and see who they connect with before knowing somebody's age, okay? And throughout this whole experience, I was just sitting here like, what? Like, the couples honestly pissed me off. I don't think I like any of the couples, for real, for real. I thought I liked one. They ended up being, like, a terrible couple. So, I was just like, I don't know. I don't think I like any of the couples. And it's not really based off the age thing. It's literally based off of people's energies with each other. Like, it's just something that none of them seem like they gonna last, for real. I'm gonna just talk about 3 key ones because if I talk about all of them, we're gonna be here for hours, okay? But I'm gonna just talk about my, I guess, top 3 couples that I'm, like, from in the show. So boom, one of them is a 54-year-old woman and a 27-year-old man. Now they're cute, don't get me wrong, they are cute, but the 54-year-old woman has 3 children, 29, 25, and 18, freshly graduated. You mean to tell me your oldest son is older than the man you're trying to date right now? And you're okay with that? I don't know, to me, that would be a little mind-boggling. As soon as I found out the age, it would boggle my mind. Unless you were older than my kids, it would weird me out a little bit. Like, that's like me dating my kid's friend. Like, that's kind of weird. But at the same time, cutest couple out of the whole bunch, not gonna lie. Like, their relationship, the way they talk, how they, like, you know, just their connection, it was cute. But that age gap, baby, he is half your age. You were 27 before he was conceived. Like, anyways. So basically, they go to the commitment ceremony where it's like, I choose you. I want to, I want to take this to the next step. And that's where they tell each other the age or whatever. So boom, they tell each other the age. She find out that he's 27 and they still want to be together. So they make the promise, put on the ring, and now they're moving in together. So boom, in this whole thing, you meet your person, you connect with them, then you move to the next stage, which is moving in together. See how y'all live together. See if that's compatible. And then you introduce them to the family. And then by the end of it, you're supposed to choose whether or not you want to go your separate ways or if y'all want to take this relationship into the real world. So boom, with this relationship, right? They get to the moving in stage. They move in. Tell me why they bumping biscuits the first night. That 27-year-old was on that body, okay? Like, they was getting at it first night out. First night out. Had her friends jealous, okay? He was throwing it down. Anyways, they move on, and like they connection is still pretty strong or whatever, and then it gets to the point where it's time to meet the family. Now this is when she gets nervous. This is when she starts showing her anxieties about the age difference, because it's really daunting on her. She's like, I'm an older woman. There's a stigma between older women dating younger men, plus you're younger than my oldest son. Like, it's just kind of weird. Like, it's like something that's gonna be weird in the eyes of everybody else. But the whole purpose of this is to get past what everybody else, what society might think, and focus on like y'all's connection. Like, if you connect, if you fall in love without age being like a thing. So boom, it's time to meet the family. Whenever it came time to introduce her to his family, his mom and sister came to the meetup or whatever, and she didn't want to disclose the age. She wanted them to know her based off of her energy, which I feel like is valid. You know, if this is something that's scary for you, you want them to meet you for you and not know your age or whatever. But it just kind of got weird, because as they were introducing and asking questions and stuff like that, she didn't bring up the fact that she had kids, which she could have did without like, disclosing their age if she didn't want to do all that. But it's like, she didn't bring up her kids. She didn't bring up nothing about herself, her age, or nothing. She just kind of tried to focus on the fact that they met here and they're happy and all of that stuff, and just like kind of glaze over the age thing, which I just thought was so crazy. And especially if y'all have the connection that y'all have, like y'all could have just showed them how y'all act and like talk about y'all's relationship for them to see the connection, because they, like I said, they had a cute connection. So it was just weird, and he was kind of getting frustrated because he didn't know what he should say, what he shouldn't say, because she didn't want him to say like different certain things and trying to tell their story without saying certain parts. It was just so weird. But yeah, they ended up like, they were doing the thing where when they meet the family, the person whose family that it's not like goes away for a little bit so they can actually talk. So when she leaves or whatever, they're asking all these questions, and they find it weird that she didn't bring up her kids, didn't do this, didn't tell the age. Like, it was just different things that she was trying to hide throughout the conversation. And they was like, it's kind of weird that she would hide those things, because those are a big part of her life, and we're trying to get to know her because she's dating, you know, such and such. But it's kind of weird, but you know, whatever. Then it's time to meet her family, and all three of her kids come. And so they introduce themselves. She's still trying not to tell the age and whatnot. So they're asking pretty good questions. He's answering them like a champ. Like, he's doing his biggest one. And like, you could just see that he's like actually loves her and like cares for her and all of this stuff. And she's happy and stuff like that. But she's so awkward about it, because she's trying to like skip over key details because she doesn't want this big age gap to be disclosed. And it's like, the whole point of this, correct, is to like get over that fear. You feel me? And it seemed to be the only thing that was like really holding her back, because he genuinely was liking her, okay? But yeah, so she didn't tell her kids. Her kids kind of thought it was weird, and they were thinking that he was over 30. And they was like, if he's under 30, it's kind of weird. And like, they was just kind of like that to the situation. But I don't know, it was just kind of weird. But then by the end of it, they choose to be together or whatever. It didn't start out that way. When she came in, she was about to be like, look, age is a big problem for me, and I don't think I want to do this, so I'm just going to call it quits here. And he was like, well, I want to continue things, and I feel like we have a strong connection. Like, let's not let age be a problem. Then she reads a letter that her kids wrote to him, and they were basically like, hey, we don't really care how old you are. We see how happy you're making my mom. I'm just happy to see her happy again, so we're just happy that y'all happy, and we're happy that y'all found each other. And then she was like, oh, well, actually, yeah, I want to take this next step with you. And then now they're together. I was like, girl, you was definitely fin to turn him away because you thought it was such a big deal. Whole time your kids kind of don't care. They do if they would have known the age, but they trying to like be on your side. You feel me? So that's just one of the couples, right? Another one of the couples, even bigger age gap. It was a 60-year-old man and a 27-year-old woman. They was having a little relationship. Everything was cool. They connected real fast, and they went to the little commitment thing where they was like, all right, let's move to the next step and disclose our age and then move in together. You feel me? They go disclose the age. She's like, dang, I was not expecting you to be 60. You look good for 60. And they was just like, you know what? Let's chop it up. Like, let's continue this. She also disclosed, hey, I'm celibate. He's like, all right, bet. There's nothing that you can tell me that's going to like make me move away from something that I feel like is a strong connection. You feel me? So boom. Now they on to the stage where you move in together. They done moved in together, but as soon as they get to the bedroom, when it's time to go to sleep at night, guess who hopping over in Mister's lap? Guess who's kissing all up on him? Mrs. Celibate. If you're celibate, Miss Lady, why are you doing all this extra kissy wissy, okay? What's going on with you? What is this? Okay, I digress. Kissing can be outside of celibacy. Celibacy is more of the sexual act, right? Cool. So boom, why the next day they go to the gym and they're sitting on 2 different mats doing workout in between sets or whatever, she gonna hop over in his lap, start kissing him, making out with him, middle of the gym, broad daylight. I'm like, okay, Miss Celibate, you over there grinding up on him, kissing up on him. Okay, maybe that's still outside of the realm of celibacy, you feel me? But no, that night, they in the room, and she giving him the toppy tops. The twisty toppies, okay? And I'm like, girl, if you're celibate, what are you doing? I'm sitting here like, okay, maybe I just got the wrong idea of what celibate is. So boom, the next day they have a little situation, and basically some random guy comes up and tries to talk to them. He's talking out the side of his neck or something happens, and the man kind of steps up and starts talking his big stuff. And she was like, well, I was uncomfortable with the situation. And he was like, well, I've been in situations like that. I know how to handle situations like that. You got to trust me as your man and as your protector to be able to handle this situation in the right way that I see fit. But like, what would you have wanted me to do in the situation? Pretty much, like, I get you're uncomfortable, but like how would you have wanted me to proceed? And she was just like, well, I was just uncomfortable with the situation. He was like, okay, but like, you gotta trust me, and like, what would you have wanted me to do? And she just could not answer that, and she kind of got frustrated, and it was just like a miscommunication between them, it seemed like, or he wasn't getting the fact that she was just uncomfortable with the situation, and I guess she wanted him to just not do something. Like, I don't know. She kind of just wasn't saying what she really wanted. She just kept saying, I'm uncomfortable. But yeah, they had that little argument. Then they kind of moved on to the whole celibacy thing. He was like, I just don't understand like what you mean by celibate. Like, the celibacy thing is kind of confusing me. And she was like, well, if you didn't like the celibacy thing, then you should have told me that when we made the promise. And he was like, it's not that I don't like it. It's the fact that you're confusing me. Like, you say you're celibate, but then we do what we did last night. So like I'm just confused, and I just kind of want some clarification. And she was like, da 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 da. She kind of just had the mindset that he was just not liking the fact that she was celibate. And she took that and kind of ran with it. Like, oh, you just don't want me, like, you don't like the fact that I'm celibate. And he was trying to get her to understand that's like, no, it's not the fact that you're celibate. It's the fact that you're doing all of this and calling it celibacy. If you just wanted to not have sex until marriage, then cool. But you're telling me we can do what we did last night and you still be considered celibate? Like, I'm just kind of confused on what the guidelines are. I was fully here to respect you and not do any of that stuff, but you initiated it. So like, what, like, and she was just like, no, I was just orally showing my partner. Baby, that is all up in that celibate, okay? You are literally breaking all your rules. What do you mean? You are having sex. It's just orally. Come on now. Anyways, they end up breaking up at that point. They're not together at that point. So boom, the last couple I'm gonna talk about is this 49 and 29-year-old couple. The woman is 49, the dude is 29. So they start out, they have their little connection, but he starts kind of getting worried about the age difference and stuff, and she kind of takes offense to it, but he comes back and apologizes, and he like, look, like, I didn't mean nothing by it, like, I still want to pursue this. And so they get to the commitment, they tell each other the age, and they make it to the next step of moving in together. So now that they done moved in, it's like little bickering every day, little bickering about little stuff. She's either telling him, do this, do that, like, don't do this, don't do that, and just kind of like almost controlling him in a way. Or like he'll say something and it comes out wrong, and then now they're like just bickering back and forth about stupid stuff. And then another thing was the 49-year-old and the 54-year-old that I told you from the beginning, those two ladies, they're friends. So when they started talking after the first night, the 54-year-old was like, yeah, so me and old boy bumped. And she was like, oh, snap, like, I'm jealous. Like, mine's just treating me like a friend. Like, I'm just a roommate. Like, we haven't done anything. Like, I don't even feel sparks or chemistry anymore. And she was like, oh, well, you might just want to talk to him. So she go back to the room and she's like, I was kind of expecting a jackrabbit, not somebody who's treating me like, we're just friends or whatever. Like, I don't feel like you're being affectionate with me. And I want you to open up, and I want to get to know you more and all of this stuff. And I'm like, girl, if you messing with this man or having sex with this man is you getting to know him more, this is not like, what is up with these relationships, bro? I swear they piss me off, because what do you mean? That's a way of getting to know him. And he was doing everything the right way. And he was trying to explain to her, like, in the past, I've had sex with women or been sexual with women prior to getting to know them or doing this the right way. And he wants to do this the right way, which is getting to know you, talking, and like slowly getting up to that level. But she wanted a bump off rip. So he did it with her. Didn't last long, but she was just like, oh no, it's good, it's fun, it's like, I love it, like, you're finally opening up to me, and I finally feel like, we're getting to that intimacy part and getting to know each other more. And I was just like, ugh, please, y'all are pissing me off. And they argue all the time. And then, like, when, you know how people do their own little private section when they're recording, like, how they really feel when they're away from their person or whatever, they would both be talking their biggest stuff about each other, like, oh, this is annoying, this is annoying. And it's like, bro, y'all are obviously, like, I don't know, to me they just didn't seem like they was compatible, but they wanted to force it and make it work, or they both were trying to make it work, which is good. That's how you're supposed to do the situation, or the scenario that they were in. But like, it wasn't clicking. So boom, next step, time to meet the families. They both met each other's when they were meeting his family, everything went smooth. They liked her or whatnot. But when it came time to meet her side of people, it was just her best friend, who's 32, which is 3 years off from her boyfriend right now. They're closer in age than she and him are. So anyways, they meet the friend. The friend is sitting there watching them bicker and argue about little things, because the 49-year-old lady, she's not trying to tell the friend like the whole situation. So she's like, cut out this part of the story. She kind of like the older lady from the beginning, like, just don't tell him this, don't tell him this, or skip over this part. And he's kind of like, well, do you want to tell the story? Because you obviously know what you want to disclose. So like, do you want to tell the story? And she's kind of like, no, like, it's fine. But then she'll cut him off, and it's just like, y'all are too much. But they were just sitting there bickering about little stuff, and like, the friend was just sitting there watching like, girl, what is this? And so whenever they do the little thing where one person leaves and the person whose family it is gets to talk to him, she's talking with the friend, and she's like, girl, what do you see? You remind me of how you were with your exes, and this is a bad sign. So like, what's going on? Like, what's with the bickering? Is this just like a love language for y'all, or what's up? And she's like, no, like, it's just kind of how we are. Maybe he's immature. I don't know. Da 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 da. So they talk about it. They fix their stuff. They start getting closer, I guess, and like not really arguing anymore. They still be doing their bickering and stuff like that. It's so stupid. But then once they finally get to that last stage of like, do I want to take this into the real world? Tell me how they get up there, right? He say his big one, and he's like, I'm gonna need the ring back. When you do the first commitment is tell the age you get a ring. He's like, I'm gonna need the ring back real quick. And then he's saying like all of these different things, and she's thinking he's about to break up with her. Whole time, he pull out the ring again and propose to her. Like, propose to her. Like, actually propose, like they're engaged. Now, I don't know the time frame on this scenario, but to me, it doesn't seem like that long. It seems like they've been there for like a couple of days, because this stuff is like back to back. So you've been there for a couple of days and you think this is the one. Yeah, y'all been arguing and saying each other's annoying and all of this stuff the entire time. you know, this is BS. What is this show? Because what? And those were like the top three couples that just kind of had me like, what? The other ones at least kind of had somewhat of a connection that I was like, okay, I get it. You know, the age ain't really like a deter in this relationship. But the rest of them, I was like, yo, what is going on? Anyways, what is the oldest that you would date? Because after watching this show, I'm like, I think the max I could do is probably like 20 years. Max. But at the end of the day, I feel like it all depends on the person's mindset. I feel like I've been through a lot in life and I have like a more mature mindset. So I've never been one to date younger than me. So I always want somebody who's older than me, more mature than me, and stuff like that. But I feel like it also depends on like how you love. If you have a mature love language or a mature mindset, then I could be down. Like, it really don't matter what age. So it's kind of like, it really doesn't matter. Like, you could probably be 30 years older than me. Now, I probably wouldn't go that high because, but I'm sorry, I might be a little superficial. I don't want somebody who looks old and dusty and I'm sitting here at a smooth 25. Like, what am I wasting my time on you for? I'm sorry. But at the same time, like, love really doesn't have an age limit to it. So, like, if you find it with somebody 30 years older than you, then cool. The most I've ever done is 10 years. And 10 years is that nice little middle realm. 20, you right there still at it. But once you get them 30 and you know, up there, that's when it get a little shaky. That's when it get a little shaky, and that's when people start to look their age and look very different, okay? I think my max is 20 years, but it all depends on, like, your mindset. Like, if you have an older mindset, hell, I could probably date younger, but not by much. I will probably date 1 year younger, and that's about it. I can't go no further, and I'm sorry. It's a mental thing for me. Like, no. Every time I tried to go younger, it just didn't work out. So, no. It traumatized me for life. I can't. And then in my mind, I just can't fathom the fact that, like, somebody who hasn't been through life experiences or hasn't done anything in life is going to be on the same mental capacity as me. Like, I've been through stuff in my life that's forced me to grow up. But if you've been coddled your whole life, if people have basically given you everything, if you haven't had to go through any hardships, then it's kind of like you're going to be on a life maturity that's lower than me. You feel me? Like, you haven't done stuff or experienced stuff that's going to help you mature or level your mindset up. You feel me? The different things that I've had to go through leveled my mindset up that made me mature that me. So it's kind of like they might not know just because they haven't experienced it. Or like, you know, it's just different things. And it's like the more you go through in life, the higher you'll get up in that level, I feel like. But if you're younger than me and you ain't experienced nothing, then I'm not really going to be looking for you because you're not going to be on my level. And I don't got time to keep explaining and being somebody's lesson or teaching somebody how to love. I'm tired of it. I just want to find somebody who's already there with me. And that's typically coming from older people. So that's where we at. I love my older people any freaking ways. Whew. That was a crazy little whirlwind. I don't know how I feel about the show. I didn't like it. The finale pissed me off. Everybody's relationship pissed me off. I don't think I had one good relationship that I liked from the show. But yeah. Anyways, moving on. We got a weekly dilemma, a weekly dilemma, a weekly dilemma. And you know what this segment is called? So You Think You're a Therapist, where you, my beautiful, lovely followers, send in a response where you might be going through something in your life and you have some questions about it. So you come asking for help from me, an outside source. Because sometimes when you're in a situation, you get too caught up in said situation. So you need an outside perspective, outside point of view, somebody who might see it from a different angle that you might not have thought of. So that's what I am. That's what I'm here for. So let me be your therapist. Let me guide you or give you advice or maybe just tell you something that you might not have thought of. But anyways, here we go. This is what it says. So me, 23 female, and my friend, 24 female, have been cool for like 5 years. She dated this guy for 2 years, but they broke up almost a year ago. She's the one who ended things, and she's been talking to other people since. Like, she's clearly moved on. A few weeks ago, I ran into her ex at a party. We ended up talking. One thing led to another, and we hooked up. It wasn't planned or anything. It just kind of happened. Since then, we've been texting a little bit, but it's nothing serious. Here's the problem. I haven't told my friend. Part of me is like, it's not her business anymore because they've broken up for a while and she moved on first. But another part of me feels weird because that's still her ex. And I know she used to really like him. Now I'm scared if she finds out from someone else, it'll look worse. But I almost don't want to create drama over something that didn't even mean much to me. So do I tell her? Or do I just leave it alone since it's in the past? Juicy, oozy. Okay. So there are multiple things that are in play during this right here, okay? So boom. At the very root of it all, you have loyalty. Because no matter how the breakup happens, girl code stands for if me and my ex broke up, they are no longer on your list of friends. Now, I don't know how the relationship was. I don't know how the friendship was. It could have been one of those like three-way type things. Not three-way, but like they were a couple, but you were friends with her. Therefore, you were friends with him, you know? So y'all could have been real cool and it could have ended amicably, but she was the one to initiate it. So then it's kind of like, okay, cool. Like we were still cool. If they ended amicably, you could kind of pass as like, you know, it was just a little friends catching up. One thing led to another type situation. But at the very least, in my opinion, loyalty is everything. So if my bestie is no longer talking to somebody, she has a falling out with somebody, they're not my friends no more. But then it could also be like she was getting done dirty by him, broke up with him with her heart broken by him, and moved on quickly. And now you're going and messing around with the dude who broke her heart. So it kind of depends on the situation, how it's going to be perceived a little bit, like based off of how they ended. All you said was that she initiated it, but you don't say like the reasoning behind it. So it's kind of like, but then it also begs the question that might be their next question, or it would be my question if I was the best friend, would be, how'd y'all get from point A to point B? Why would you be going up and talking to him enough to get to the point of going home and messing around with him? Even though they break up, it's still not fair game. Like, you kind of got to respect that boundary. Like, that's their ex. I don't know. It might still be like a betrayal because you are messing around with my ex. How long have you had these feelings? Or what made you step out and do this? Like, you had to have some type of prior feelings. But if you know deep down it meant something to you, or there's a reason why you messed around with him, you should tell her. Because it's just going to create a messy situation, especially because you say you still texting, but it's not like that. It might come off as weird or snake-like or against girl code. For me, girl code kind of means like you're not messing with anybody that your bestie don't mess with. Like, if you hate that girl, I hate that girl. You feel me? So if this is my ex and I hate my ex, you shouldn't be talking to my ex. You hate that ex too. Why are you messing around with him? Why are you going home with him? Why are you feeling so comfortable that you're going to chat and talk with him at a party enough to go home with him? Like, that's against girl code. That's weird. Especially if we ended off on bad terms. Like, why did you even feel the need to go up and talk to him? If you just needed somebody to co-sign you not saying anything, then be my guest. Like, don't say anything if you know that nobody else is going to say anything. Know that he's not going to say anything. Also, you know for a fact for yourself that it didn't mean anything and that you don't plan on doing it again and that it was just a one-time thing. If those three things are not all in check, then something's going to happen later on down the road. Because if somebody else tells it, it's going to be a situation. Especially because you don't want somebody to find out and be like, oh, well, I seen them talking at the party and then they left together. And then she's like, what? Y'all left together? What happened? And then she comes to ask you. That's going to be an awkward situation. You might as well go ahead and tell her. If he messes around and being like, oh, let me just get this one last dig at my ex and tell her that I mess with her best friend, that's going to be another situation. Or if you actually do have feelings for this man, or something is going on internally with you towards this man and that's why you did it, it's going to cause problems. Because what happens when those feelings come out? What happens when you want more, or you keep going back or something like that? It's going to make the situation worse, especially because that's your friend's ex. And until you're honest with her, it's going to be some awkward thing. But if all three of those are in check and you ain't trying to cause no extra drama, and you know that was going to be like a one and done, like it was a mistake type thing, then I wouldn't say anything. But that's up to you and your heart and how you think of things. It's based off of how you feeling and how their relationship ended and like just who they are as people. But if everything ain't clicking, you in the wrong, sweetheart. And you gotta be honest. Just so it's not no like awkward situation. But like I said, if you got those three things in check, you can get away with not saying nothing. But those three things gotta be in check. Otherwise it's gonna be arguments, or it's gonna be an eternal battle for yourself. So yeah. But if it meant something, or if you're scared that somebody gonna tell her first, you might want to go ahead and be honest. But especially since girl code, honestly, girl code says be honest if you gonna mess around with my ex. I mean, tell me if you messing with my ex. That's all I really can say on that one. But if you are going through anything and you need a little assistance from yours truly, go ahead and hit that link down below in the description and send in your dilemma. Send in what's going on and let me help you in next week's video. But all right, y'all, that is the end of So You Think You're a Therapist. I hope I helped. I know I really didn't give an answer or answer your question. I can't really tell you whether to tell her or not. That's based off of how you feel and the different situations and whatnot. But yeah, now we're going into book talk, and I finished A Court of Silver Flames, okay? And man, oh man, it is Nessa and Cassian's point of view. And baby, when I say it is juicy and their connection flourishes. I kind of did a summary synopsis on the first 3 books in episode 9 and 11, I believe. So now I'm just going to catch you up on the 4th and 5th book, and that'll be it for this series until I start another book for book talk. But in the 4th book, it was basically just what happens right after the war, how everybody is rebuilding and coping and how their mental is. It kind of touches on everybody's mental in some way, shape, or fashion. We mainly see it from Favor's point of view, so we see how her mental is and how hurt she is by the fact that she lost her mate. Like, that still scars her. She literally saw her mate die, had to feel her mate die. So, like, she went through all of that and felt all of that, and it kept her up at night because she lost him, basically. And if it wasn't for everybody chipping in, she wouldn't have got him back. It was showing how she helped everybody in Valeris, and what she did as her part in helping the city rebuild and get themselves back on their feet. But it also touched a little bit on Nessa's point of view, or what Nessa was doing during this time, which was pretty much staying away from everybody, ignoring everybody, and kind of staying to herself, isolating herself. So when we get into book 5, we finally get to see what's really going on in Nessa's mind, because she was always so rude and always kept people at arm's length and never really let anybody in. And now we get to see why. And it's because of her mental state. And like, she was always in her head about a lot of stuff, and it was mainly like the decisions that she's made, mainly the ones that she feel like she's failed at. So her biggest one was when her and her family were broke and she allowed her youngest sister to go out and hunt in the woods in order to find their meals and stuff. She thought about that all the time and how much she felt like she should have stepped up, or she should have did more, or she allowed too much for her sister. And how much it pained her that she had to do that, or all the times that she showed in these stories of where she didn't protect people, like the fact that when Hybern had her father, she could have killed Hybern, but she froze in that moment and her father ended up dying. Or when the cauldron stole Elaine and she couldn't even go and help save Elaine, it was Pharaoh and Azrael that went to go save her. Or when she was supposed to stop the wall from collapsing, but before she could, Hybern used the cauldron and destroyed the wall. Like, she just feels like she's failed at all these things. And so they're always going in her mind. And after the war, after losing her father, and after all of this stuff with the cauldron and the power that she has, she was just going through it. So she was dealing with all of this mental stuff. But at the same time, she was also having to deal with these powers that she doesn't know what to do with. She just has all this pent up power that she doesn't really know how to handle, how to control, what it even is. And so instead of dealing with it and facing it head on, she just drank herself. And that would keep her powers at bay. It would basically numb her powers. And then when she would go out and have sex with people, it would clear her head. Like, she wasn't thinking, she wasn't in her head. She was just a person. It was just them and her. She was just a normal person. She wasn't just Hybern's killer. She wasn't Feyre's sister. She wasn't all these grand titles. She was just her, you know? But lo and behold, it starts out with the fact that Nessa had one bad night at the bar or wherever pub she was at and drank a butt ton of alcohol, or was ordering a whole lot of alcohol. Had a huge tab. It went back to Favor and Reese because apparently they've been paying for every time that she goes out. They literally have been funding her life. So anytime she pulled up a tab, it was on them. So she did it too far one time. So they was like, you know what? We got to put some boundaries on this because that was too far. That was your last straw. So now we're going to give you an ultimatum because we're tired of seeing you basically harm yourself. So you can either go back to the human realm where they're not going to treat you like anything because you're Fae now. Humans don't like Fae. So you're really not going to be able to do anything or have any fun over in the human realm. Or you can go up to the House of the Wind where the only way down is 10,000 steps because we don't want you to have to come down and hurt yourself. And nobody's going to fly you down there or winnow you down there, which is basically teleportation, in order for you to harm yourself. Now you have full reign freedom and all to do whatever you want. You just got to make it down those steps. They did that so that she wouldn't harm herself anymore and hopefully get better. And she did by the end of it. But we'll go through that. So boom. She's like, you know what? I'll just go up to the House of the Wind. Whatever. She goes up there. They just said she has to show up to training with Cassian. So that's all she did. She showed up to training with Cassian. When they first started their training, Cassian would take her to this Illyrian training camp where it was supposed to be her training with a whole bunch of other warriors and stuff like that. But most of them were men, and most of them discouraged her as a woman for being a warrior. They didn't even want her around. Like, they were about to burn all the instruments and tools that she used. So it was like a weird thing. That's how the Illyrian mindset is. They are very against women. So she didn't feel like working out in front of them or like exposing herself to being watched by all these men. So she just kind of sat there and watched Cassian. But once he realized that that was the case, he had her practice at the house. Like, it was just them two. So at first she was sitting there like another day of me just sitting here and watch you work out. Like, I'm not gonna be working out with you. But then he was like, look, you know, everything else is gone. Like, you know, there's no distractions, no nothing. It's just us, okay? Like, give me 1 hour. If you give me 1 hour of solid working out, I will make you a deal, make you a promise, which is a bond. And in this realm, if you make a bond or a promise, it sticks with you. Like, it's basically life bonding. If you break it, you die, pretty much. So he made a promise with her, like, if you work out for this 1 hour, I will basically do whatever you want. One time, like, whatever you want. Just tell me what you want and I'll do it. But one time, you get one time to ask me, but just do it for an hour. She did it. It cleared her mind a little bit and she slowly started to like it and went on with her life. Now, while they went to one of the training camps, like one of the last times that they went to the training camp, she didn't work out. And after their thing, Cassian had to go do something. So she was walking around the village or whatever. She went to this little shop and met this lady named Emery. They got to chat and ended up becoming friends. And it was a cute little relationship. It was her first like relationship with somebody that didn't know who she was, or knew who she was but didn't treat her like Feyre's sister. They just treated her like Nesta. She didn't have to be something, you know? And so they became good friends. And then as she started training and working in the library, she also met Gwen at the library. Now, the library is filled with a whole bunch of women who have been through traumatic events and stay there as their sanctuary, pretty much, because they might be too scared to go out into the real world or anything like that. So she meets Gwen, and Gwen starts to like her because she's so like raw and like rude to her. She's used to people talking to her normally, but then as soon as they realize that, oh, you're in here for a reason because you're one of these women in here, you obviously have been through something, so let me talk to you nicely, let me treat you like a baby, pretty much. And she didn't like that. But the fact that Nesta was talking to her like, why you putting, you know, like just talking to her crazy, she liked that, and they became friends. So boom, as she's working out, as she's starting to train with Cassian, as she's starting to open up a little bit, as she's living there with Azriel and Cassian, and as she's starting to feel her mental getting better with this training, and how she's starting to feel more powerful and feel like she can stand up a little bit more, she's like, you know what, let me extend this to my other women, because both of these women that she has met have been hurt and have a past just like Nesta does. And Nesta's dealing with her own little trauma and past and trying to feel like she can fight again and have control over her life. And so did they. So they all kind of came together, and it was so nice. She had offered Emery to come and train with them. So she had put up a like sign up sheet in the library for any priestess who wanted to come, and basically gave them the hope that like this is something that like helps you feel stronger against men, which she thought was going to be a good thing, but nobody signed up. Eventually, Gwen signed up. So the three of them started training together and started, you know, getting more powerful and feeling like they could go against men and stuff like that. And so one of the things that Nessa did in order to get the other priestesses to feel comfortable going is to train in front of the priestess, like going down the aisles training while she's doing her work and stuff like that. It got to the point where the priestess complained to the head priestess, and she called Cassian to come and get her. And when Cassian came and get her, she was doing like something wrong, and he took it upon himself to like train her for like 5 minutes right then and there in the library. But it was a ploy, because she used to do all that stuff well in practice. He was like, you know, you was doing this good earlier. Like, what's up? And it was because the priestesses were watching, and to see how he talked to her, how he didn't touch on her, how he didn't make anything awkward. He just trained and fueled her with good positive reinforcement, but also corrected her when she was wrong, and like gave her pointers without making her feel uncomfortable. They felt like, okay, if we're learning from him, this is like, you know, something that we could do. So other priestesses started joining, and it became like this thing. Like she felt like she was actually making a change and like slowly starting to get her mental right. And it was just so good. But also, while all of this is happening, her and Cassian are getting close, okay? Her and Cassian are low-key taking it to the next level. Like one night, they're doing something. I forgot what they're doing. And like they basically like lock eyes in the hallway. They just start kissing, and it's passionate, and it just starts going to the next level. And then they go back to the room, and she's like, look, it's just gonna be sex. It's not gonna be nothing else. Now Cassian, we know from his point of view that he got it bad for Nessa, but he don't want to get his feelings hurt. So he's trying to hold her at an arm's length, but at the same time, still like appease his, you know, manhood. You feel me? So boom, he's like, all right, bet. And so they do what they do for the first time, and then he leaves. And that's it. Like, it's no cuddle, no nothing, da 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 da. He didn't want to get hurt. He didn't want to stay and like have her deny him. So like He just went his separate ways. Now, boom, they start, building a relationship that way, but it's just sex, just friends, nothing serious, right? That's what they claim it to be. But in both point of views, you see how they feel about each other, and they're both just trying to fight it. Nessa more so than Cassian. Cassian is like, I know I like her. I just don't want her to hurt me by denying me. So, like, let me just hold my feelings close and not say nothing yet. Let her come to me type thing. So, boom, back in the second book, when Tamlin basically betrayed Feyre by giving up her sisters, he didn't intentionally do that, but like, Iantha in his court basically told Hybern that she had sisters and this is a way to get to her, and he needed a spectacle to show how the cauldron works for these witches, these human witches that he got on his side to help in the war. In order to show them that the cauldron works and that if they hop into it, they will get eternal life and all of this good stuff, they wanted to put the sisters in there as some type of like, here you go, like, let me show you how it works. Elaine goes in first against her will, obviously. She comes back out. She's Fae now. Nessa goes in. Before she goes in, she, flips him the bird and goes under, like, fighting, and when she's inside, she's under for like a long time, and when she comes back out, something's different with the cauldron. Like, the energy's off, something's wrong. When we find out in this book, she finally tells like what actually happened, and basically she was in there, like, as she felt the cauldron ripping her life away, she started ripping and gnawing and clawing and biting and just getting anything she can from the cauldron. She was grappling at anything she can. So she basically ended up taking taking power from the cauldron. And if you want to take my life, I'm going to take your power. And that's what happened to it. So now once she got out of it, the cauldron got mad. And when the first queen went in there, the first like witch lady or whatever went into the thing, she ended up coming out as an old crow, like an old lady. Like, yeah, you're eternal. Yeah, you have eternal life, but you're going to look like an old woman. Ever since then, that lady has had it out for Nessa. So, boom, we figure out that lady is still plotting and planning because she don't like Nessa. She done went to a different lord or ancient being, godlike type person, and is working with him in order to collect these 3 different things, these ancient troves, as they call it. And it's basically magic items that have power over different things. And if you have all 3, then you can pretty much take over the world. The mask, it was a mask, a crown, and a harp. If you have the mask on, it controls the dead. You can basically turn anybody who is dead into your soldiers. If you have the crown, you have the power to change people's mindset. You can get them to do whatever you want. You really could walk into a bank and tell them to give you all the money in the vault and they'll do it type thing. Or you can play the harp, and I think it controls like dimensions. Like, they say there's like 26 dimensions, so it has 26 strings, and you can basically like travel through dimensions or time, or do things as far as time and stopping time or something like that. But basically, they're trying to find all of those things, and the queen is trying to find them first so that she can basically take over and start another war. So boom, now once they figure out that that's what she's on, they're trying to find those things as well. So Nessa apparently has the power, or is connected to those troves because they were made with the cauldron. So because she was made with the cauldron, she can find them. And they're using her to find these things, and she's going on her little adventures to get them throughout the book. Now, when you use these troves, you're not supposed to be able to take them off. So, like, once she put the mask on, she wasn't supposed to take it off. Like, wasn't supposed to be able to take it off because it's going to start controlling her. But it didn't, because she basically told it not to. And because she had the control over it, it was now like, all right, you're our secret weapon. Like, So it was just different things. She went on her journey to find all 3 of those troves by the end of the book. And by the end of the book, her training is paying off. They're training on how to not only do male Alarian techniques, so now they're being able to fight hand-to-hand combat with men, but also they're bringing back this ancient Valkyrie training, which is a female ran training, and it's something that kind of died out in the past when the whole Valkyrie tribe kind of got demolished and destroyed. A part of their training was to do this obstacle course or something like that, and it's basically to say like, hey, I passed my Illyrian training. When they did that, there was some Illyrian warriors who were there, and because they passed the training, they was like, oh, well, because you passed the training, you think you a big warrior, we got something for you. So boom, um, one night, Cassian and Nessa, they're walking around the town, and they finally like gotten to the point of disclosing that how they feel about each other. She's like, I like you, and you know, all of this stuff and whatnot. But now we're starting to figure out that they might be mated. That's what we're thinking. That's what we're assuming. And so Cassian's like, you know, what's wrong with being mates? Like, he's holding her hands or being all up on her. And I guess she kind of took it the wrong way and was like, I don't know, like, it's just kind of a lot for me. And, you know, back in the human world, all you had to do was put a ring on it and that was yours. But now in the Fae world, I got to call you my mate. I got to do all of this extra stuff. It's kind of weird. So she wasn't really liking the word mate, and it was kind of scaring her. But Cassian was like, what's the problem? Like, you known from the start that this is how it was, that this is what we are for each other. So I don't even know why you're acting like this right now. And she was just like, I don't really want to have this conversation right now. So she used her promise and was like, look, don't talk to me anymore. Go back to the house and don't talk to me for a week or until I talk to you first. Whichever one happens first, you know? And then let that be it. Like, don't say anything else to me, just like go away. And he basically had to go away because he couldn't even take a step towards her. Like, his tattoo was burning from the bond that they made. And so he was like, all right, bet, whatever. Goes back to the house for the night. She goes to Emery's place, and because I guess Cassian had told somebody else in the village, they had brought Gwen over to Emery's place. So now it's all three of them at Emery's place. They have a little girls' night. She realizes, oh my gosh, I love Cassian. I should have told him that. I should have, you know, like just expressed how I felt about him, da 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 da. So now they're like all together. And before she can even make it to the next day, she's like, I'll talk to him tomorrow. I'll talk to him tomorrow. Before she can even make it to the next day, they get snatched up in their sleep. Because why? Those same men that had watched them train a while back, that felt like, oh, y'all think y'all warriors? Bet we got something for you, right? They came and took them and put them into the Illyrian blood rite, which is basically a warrior like test, basically a rite of passage in order to become a warrior. So you're dropped in this wood randomly. You don't have any tools. You don't have any weapons. And you're dropped in there and you're supposed to make it through this wooden terrain of mountainous wooden area and then travel through this whole terrain, make it to this mountain, climb the mountain and make it to the top. And if you can make it to the top, you're like the highest level of warrior. If you make it somewhere on the mountain, you're the next level. If you make it to the bottom, you're the next level. If you're still stuck in the woods somewhere, you're this level. Like, it was just as far as you made it in this deemed how high of a level of warrior you were by the end of it. So basically, everybody wants to win. Everybody wants to make it to the end. But everybody who's here is also against you. So you need to make weapons. You need to make safety things. You need to be able to travel and live in this terrain. And it's best to do it as a team. So that's why they were training. The three of them were training together. But because they snatched them up and threw them somewhere, they threw them in all three different places. Now, on their girls' night, they had made bracelets, and Nessa's power ended up enchanting the bracelets. She just made a little wish for them because it was a little friendship bracelet. She was like, I just want us to be able to go out one day, but always be able to find our way back to each other. She wanted them to have the power and the mindset and the comfortability to be able to travel out into the world, but also be able to find their way back to each other as friends and all of that stuff. So during this whole blood rite, their bracelets are glowing in the direction of like where they are. So she's like, all right, let me use this to find them. But then come to find out, we find that some weapons were dropped throughout the whole little playing field. And we're starting to piece things together. Like, why are there weapons here? There's never been weapons. You usually have to make them yourself. What's going on? So boom, they're going through this whole thing. They end up finding each other. They finally get through the whole terrain. They, you know, like are fighting or whatever. and doing what they got to do to get to the bottom of the mountain. Once they get there, they finally start making it up the mountain. But then you have Emery's uncle, who for the entire book, every time we've seen him, he's been having some type of confrontation with Emery, because apparently when her father died, she started to own the shop, but it's supposed to go to next of kin, and she was the next of kin, but the uncles and stuff wanted to take it away from her because she's a woman. And in the Alarian world, you're a woman, you don't have any rights. You're not supposed to do anything. So they wanted to take it away from her, but she was like, nah, this is my father's shop. I know how to run it. I'm gonna run it. Like, this is mine. So now he has like some type of built-in hatred towards her. So boom, they're making their way up the mountain. Now we see the uncle come up with his little gang of people. They're all hurt from their whole battles and stuff that they've had to do in order to get to this point. So she's like, you know what? Nessa's like, you know what? You and Gwen get up the mountain. Like, Gwen, I think, is hurt, like, real bad. Like, she's passed out type thing. So Emery basically has to carry her up the mountain. She's like, look, I'll hold them off for as long as possible. Y'all just get up the mountain, okay? And so she ends up holding them off and all of that fun, good stuff. And they end up making it to the mountain. And once you make it to the mountain top, there's like an orb up there, and you touch it and it teleports you to safety, and you get, like, you know, all the medicine and all of that stuff worked on. So while she's fighting, they make it up there, they teleport out, everything's good. But then we find out the uncle was there for her. The uncle whole time was there for her because he was under the spell of the queen who had the crown. Her goal was to go there and get her. Back at home, Cassian realizes what happened because afterwards he comes to find her. He realizes they've been taken, realizes it's the blood right, realizes what happened. And then because he can't do anything about the blood right because there's ancient magic and rules and regulations that if anybody steps in, you die. So he basically is like, you know what? We have to focus on other things. And right now they need me to go try and find out where their spy from the Autumn Court, which is one of the brothers who they saved in the last book or something like that, he ended up getting taken by the queen. And so they were like, all right, bet. We got to go get him because he knows all of our secrets. He's pretty much been working with us to feed us information from the Autumn Court and what his father's been working on and all of that stuff. And so we got to go get him, you know? And so when they go, it ends up pretty much being a trap so that the queen could get control of Cassian in order to get control of Nessa, in order to take her power away from her and give it to herself, I think. I don't know. But anyways, when Azriel and Cassian get there to save oh boy, it ends up being a trap. The queen gets Cassian, puts Cassian under the control, and ends up having Cassian come after Nessa at the blood right. So as she's in the middle of the battle with the uncle, Cassian comes down, kills the uncle off rip. Then he goes after Nessa, and that's when the queen wants to like talk or whatever and basically say like, you're coming with me, da 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 da. He's gonna take you and whatnot, like, or I'm just gonna kill you or something. Like it's gonna be something being killed by your mate or whatever. Like they're mates, so it's gonna be like, it was just like a hard thing. And he was trying to fight the control, fight the control, fight the control. Nessa thinks that she has stabbed him, but I don't think she really stabbed him. But because she thinks she did, she gets so mad and she uses all her powers, and I think she fights with the queen right then and there, and then like kills her, and then takes the crown from her, and then turns around and Cassian is just like, you know, I kind of figured that was gonna happen or something like that, and he's like not under her spell anymore. And then like basically they just live happily ever after. He takes her home from the blood right, they go home and all of this fun good stuff. And you know, she didn't make it to the very end of the blood right, but she did make it up the mountain. So she's still like a high warrior, but she really doesn't care about the whole title thing. She still wants to be a Valkyrie. She doesn't even care about the Illyrian like warrior titles and all of that extra stuff. Once they get home, her and Cassian are like, all right, we're mates. I love you, da 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 da. But I forgot to tell y'all that in this book, we also find out that Feyre is pregnant, but she has the power to shapeshift. So when her and Reese, who is an Ilarian, a dude with wings, and her mated or did that little bump and a bump in it, she had her wings out. She had made some wings, some Ilarian wings, which made her blood Ilarian while she was in that form. They had did it. Both of them are Ilarian, therefore she has an Ilarian baby. But when she's not transformed, she's in a Fae body. A Fae body is not meant to push out a baby with wings. You feel me? So she could die in childbirth. And that's been the problem for this whole entire book. Reese has been trying to find a solution for how she can have this baby and still survive. Or what needs to happen in order for both of them to survive. And they can't figure out anything this entire book. When Nessa gets back from the blood right, we finally find out that Feyre's finna have her baby. But we also find out that Reese and her made a bond, a promise. You remember those things that are like built by death, by magic? You know, like if you break it, you're dead. They made a bond that when you go, I go. You know, after that whole ordeal of him dying and then her dying in the previous book, like they didn't want none of that. Like, I'm not living without you. So if you die, I die. They made that bond and that promise, and basically meant that if Feyre dies in childbirth right then and there, not only will they lose Feyre and the child, but they're also going to lose Reese. So now they're just like, yo, what the heck? Now we got to save everybody. Like, what's going on? What's going on? What's going on? So boom, by the time Nessa gets back and her and Cassian have their little whatever, it's time for Feyre to have the baby. She's having a baby, having problems. It's so much blood going on. Like, she's starting to take her last and final breath. The baby has come out now, and it isn't really crying. It's like not crying. It's not making any reactions, and there's just a lot of blood coming out. And Feyre's slowly like taking her last breath. Like, you can see that she's slowly dying. And so by the end of it, everybody's like, no, like they're starting to cry, da 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 da. Nessa's like, I'm not going to let this happen. I've messed up too many times, and specifically with my sister. I've allowed her to do too many things and put her through so much. Like, this is my time to like help her. She ends up going to Feyre's side, and she summons all the 3 artifacts in the trove that they've been hunting. They ended up finding the harp and the mask by themselves. Like, that was on team this side, okay? But then the queen had the crown. But when the whole blood right situation came and she killed the queen, she took the crown. So now she has all 3, but they put them in the house hidden somewhere. She summoned all 3 things because they're going to come to her. They attract to her. She can control them pretty much. She summoned all 3 things by Feyre's bedside and ended up plucking one of the strings in the harp, which basically slowed time, stopped time. And it was basically on Feyre's last breath. And then she went up to Feyre with all the stuff on her, and she just kept on saying, like, how do I save my sister? How do I save my sister? She's basically going inside herself and talking to the energy of the cauldron that's inside her. And it's basically like, look, how do I save my sister? How do I save my sister? What do I need to do? How can I fix this? How can she be okay? And she's just like, please, please, please tell me how, tell me how, tell me how. Like, I'll do anything. Like, I'll give the power back. I'll give the power back that I stole. Just tell me how to save my sister. And she kept saying that. And the cauldron was like, you know what? Really? You gonna give me my power back? Bet. Let me show you how to do this. You know, so it ends up telling her, she ends up fixing Feyre's body and changing her, like, anatomy in order to be able to have Ilarian babies. She changed Elaine's body to do the same thing, and she changed her own body to do the same thing in that whole entire process. And she also, whenever she healed Feyre, she was also healing the baby with all the power of all the troves and her energy and all of that stuff, and the cauldron's help and stuff. So after she got up from Feyre started smiling. She started becoming lively again. The baby started crying. Everybody basically came back to life, you know? And so boom, Reese was like, oh my gosh, like, he was just so like happy, and like this whole book he hated her because he didn't like how Nessa treated Feyre and how she, you know, was always playing like keep people's at an arm length, always be rude to people, keep them from getting close to you. She was even doing that for her sister and was just treating her like dirt. And how she treated her when she was younger, where she sent her to like go hunt for them and just how she treated her throughout her whole life, you know? And he never liked that. And he always hated Nessa for that. Because it was just like, you did this to my mate. And he's like crazy. You know, mates and stuff are crazy. So like, whenever you hurt your mate, like if you do anything to my mate, like I might kill you. You know, like that's how crazy he is. So it's like, he didn't like the fact that she did all that. So he hated her like da 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 throughout this whole entire book. But because she did that, because she saved them, because she basically saved him as well, while also saving Feyre and the baby, like he dropped to his knees in front of her and just kept thanking her. And ended up giving her a hug. And he said he would never drop to his knees for nobody. He has like tattoos on his knees that symbolize he would never get down for nobody. Like he's the king. Like he'll never get down for nobody but his lover and his kingdom, you know? But he got on his knees for her to basically thank her because it was like, you saved everybody here today. And like, I can't thank you for anything more. Like, that's a lot. So yeah, that's pretty much how it ends. She saves the day. Her and Cassian finally disclose their feelings, finally say that they're mates for each other. And they end up bumping. And like, after all of that happens, basically Rhys feels like he's indebted to her. So he's buying her everything. He gave her the House of Wind. Fun fact, the House of Wind is enchanted. And it basically just like does whatever you need it to do. So like it automatically cleans itself. If you're sitting down at the table, it will bring you a plate of food or whatever. Like you really don't have to like do anything. It's just it's an automatic thing. So boom, as she's going through like the story and as she's slowly starting to heal herself, she becomes friends with the house. Like some days when she'll come home after training and be sore, the house will like run her a hot bath. And as she slowly started to figure out that the house is alive and in fact understands what she's saying, like I think one day she had asked or like realized that the house likes books or had left her a book or something and was like, oh, you read books? And she was like, yeah, I read. Well, the house didn't say, yeah, I read, but basically was like, yeah, I read, by throwing more books out, like basically zapping books onto the table. Like, here you go. Like, yeah, I read, you know? And so they became friends. They ended up liking the same books, which was little smut books, you know what I'm saying? Little nasty books. So she was giving her like best recommendations to the house of like nasty books, and the house would read them and give her books. And it was just like a nice little friendship. Like whenever she was feeling down, the house would bring her hot cocoa. It was just like little cute stuff like that. So because the house like seemed to really like fall for Nessa and love Nessa and like take care of Nessa during this whole process and pretty much like keep her sane and comfortable and like being nice to her, Rhys basically gave the House of Wind to Nessa because it was like, this is the only time that we've seen the house alive. And like it, you know, it was just like a cute little thing, you know, like there was one night where Emery and Gwen came over to the house and they were doing like, they were having a sleepover pretty much. And the house was like answering any of their things. Like once Emery and Gwen figured out that the house is enchanted and like will just do anything, they started asking for like outrageous stuff. Like bring me a bubble bath made out of diamonds or like, you know, something stupid, and the house would do it. And so it was just like it was fun to see or watch, and like it just brought the house alive and stuff like that. And it was cute because like she was like, I feel like we're using the house, but if it wasn't so like quick and like putting all the stuff that they wanted out there, it seemed like the house was having fun type thing. And it was just so cute to see like her building friendships with two live people, but also with an inanimate object who's like enchanted, like something that you never would have really thought about. So it was just kind of cool, and how her heart seemed to melt. And the first person who really became her friend was the house. And it was just, I don't know, it was so cute all the way around. But yeah, that's pretty much how the book ends, is like, you know, war is coming. Like, even though they killed the queen who had the crown and all of that stuff, the lord or the ancient lord that she was talking to still probably wants to start a war. And then there's these 3 tribes that they keep talking about that's out of the way. But if they wanted to start a war, now that the wall's down and now that everybody's like weak and all of that stuff, if they wanted to come and take over, they could. So it was like, war is coming, but like, that's just a story for another day. They just kind of, you know, taking it day by day and dealing with all the stuff that they got to deal with now, and just, you know, going based off of that. But yeah, that was pretty much how the book ends. It was really good. Like, I honestly loved it. I think this is one of my favorite ones. But Nessa and Cassian is nasty, okay? They was bumping down, okay? Like, this entire book, they was going crazy. Like, once they started bumping, they started bumping. And like, when Nessa started like really falling for Cassian, like the way she would talk about this man, like I was like, wow. And the way like he had an effect on her, it was just like, wow, like y'all are go crazy. Like, I love to see it. So yeah, it was cute. I love to see how they finally became mates and stuff. Like, it was just cute. It was cute all the way around. But yeah, that's it on the book talk. We finished that. If you have any more recommendations, please drop them down in the comments. The link is in the description for the Discord. If you want to talk anything book related, if you want to give me recommendations, if you want to talk about this book right here, anything book related, we can chat about it in the Discord. So hit that link, join the chat. And yeah, that's pretty much all that I have for you guys today. I hope you enjoyed. I know this is probably a long video, but it's okay. We were missing a little stuff this week. So like, we got a little extra today, you know? But that is all I have for you guys today. I hope to see y'all next week. Thank you for joining the Dre File. I hope to see y'all next week. And before we go, you know, I got to give you a kiss of good faith and good love. I wish you the best week ever. I wish you the best love and happiness and joy for your week ahead. And I hope to see you next week. And if you want a kiss of good luck and good faith and good everything and good energy, good vibes, then stay tuned. And if you don't consent to a kiss, then skip a couple of seconds. But here you go, my bookie. Mwah, mwah, mwah. You are amazing, and I hope you have the best week ever. See y'all.